Morning class and morning sergeants. My name is Specialist Roberts, and today I will go over my presentation video. Today my presentation video covers the foundation of leadership. The overall classification of today's PowerPoint and presentation is unclassified. As you can see at the bottom of the PowerPoint, it says unclassified. For the next slide, we'll be going over the agenda. So for today's agenda, we'll be going over the risk assessment, the introduction, the definition of leadership, how that is broken down into attributes and competencies, and how those two are even broken down, and the definition of them. Then after all of that, we will go over the conclusion and the summary of the overall PowerPoint and presentation, and then I will ask you guys questions, and then the AER afterwards. And that will be the end of today's presentation. So first we'll have to go over the risk assessment. So the overall risk assessment for today is low. Just be mindful of tripping hazards or spilt liquids. Watch out for open containers because we don't want to make a mess around here. If there's an emergency, always contact me, Battle Buddy, or an SJL so we can figure the situation out. Or you can always call the appropriate emergency services. If the fire department comes in the building and tells us to evacuate, please listen to them and evacuate and take orders from them. So the next slide, we'll be going over the introduction. So the introduction for today's brief is we're going to go over the foundation of leadership and the definition of leadership according to ADP 6-22 and how it is broken down into do, be, and know, which is even further broken down by attributes and competencies, and then what goes into those two. So for the next slide, we're going to go over what leadership is. So first I will go over what ADP 6-22 it defines leadership, and then I will say it in my own words, and then if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. So according to ADP 6-22, Army leadership defines leadership as the activity of influencing people and providing purpose, direction, and motivation to accomplish a mission and improve the organization. So what does this mean? Pretty much in the simplest terms, this means the leader is always there for their soldiers, and the overall main goal is to accomplish the mission, but at the same time they should be providing purpose, direction, and to the soldiers, and always leading their soldiers in the right direction. It is very important to always have a good leader, because without a good leader, any organization will fail, no matter how great the organization is. For example, if you're on a mission and a leader has no idea what they're doing, do you think the soldiers are actually going to listen to that leader to the T? Or do you think those soldiers are going to be confused, not knowing what to do, and then they're always going to be messing up, and then at the end of the day, what's going to happen? The mission's most likely going to fail. You don't know, they might actually accomplish the mission, but most likely that mission will fail due to the fact that that leader does not know what they're doing. So to understand leadership better, we're going to be going over the attributes and the competencies, but first we're going over the attributes and what falls underneath it and the definition of it. So what is attributes? In the simplest term, attributes is the characteristics of a soldier, which means it's like the leader or soldier's behavior in particular situations. It's, for example, the easiest way to remember or think of what characteristics is the one that everyone knows. Everyone learns this when they first go to basic training. The 7 Army values, leadership. So with attributes, they break it down further by character, presence, and intellect. The next slide we're going to go over what those two mean, and a couple examples will fall under those, so you guys get a better understanding. So attributes continue. So character. What is character? Like I said, the most basic is the 7 Army values. Leadership, loyalty, duty, respect, self-service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. It's when a soldier or leader has the morals and are disciplined, and they believe in those Army values. Without those good characteristics, you would never gain the respect of your soldiers. For example, if you are a PFC in some team and your team leader is kind of a, excuse me for my words, but a dickhead and stuff like that, do you really think you're going to respect them? No, like, if he doesn't even believe in the Army values, like why would you even respect that leader? You won't follow him to battle no matter what. I don't think anyone would. The next characteristics is, or the next thing is presents. It's pretty much how you present yourself in front of your soldiers or your peers. It's having the confidence in front of your soldiers also. So the easiest example of this will be uniform. Uniform is a big one. You see this a lot in the Army nowadays for some reason, and I feel like we need to fix it because that's a big problem we have. So uniform, it's like, and a good example would be within uniform patrol caps, for example. You'll see sergeants go up to their team and be like, hey, fix your patrol cap. It's not parallel to the marching surface. What are you doing? Do push-ups, do this, do that, do this. How can you show up to work looking like that? But at the same time, as the leader is saying that to their Joes, the Joes look at them and they see this leader with dirty uniform. They're wearing a patrol cap like a baseball cap. It's like, how can that leader tell you to fix yourself when they're not even, when they don't even look like a soldier themselves? So that's a good example of that. It's also the confidence with their peers. So for example, like today you're giving a class, that's a good example. So if you're having some presentation and your sergeant stuttering or whispering to the class, or like they don't even know what they're talking about, do you think the soldiers are actually going to listen to that NCO and get anything out of the class? Most likely not. So that's why presenting yourself like a leader is really good and will go a long ways. The next thing will be intellect. Intellect is pretty much what it sounds like, being smart. You don't have to be the smartest person in the world, but it's at least knowing your job and always trying to strive to know more in your MOS. So you can take everything that you learn and pass it down to your soldiers, so they too can become better soldiers and be better leaders later on in their military careers, or even their civilian careers. If they want to get out, you can tell them to do civilian education stuff, so they can further their careers outside of the Army. It's also having sound judgment and mental agility. So now that we went over attributes, we're going to have to go over competencies and what competencies is and what falls under that. So next slide. So competency is pretty much what a soldier or leader does to accomplish the mission or goal at hand. The Army breaks it down by lead, develops, and achieves. So in the next slide, we're going to go over in further detail what those three mean. So next slide. So leads. So lead is pretty much leading a soldier in the right direction. You're always trying to build that relationship with your men or women or peers, so they can always, so they know that you care for them and they will listen to you, respect you, and follow your orders. Another big thing with leads is leads for the front. No one's going to listen to you if you don't lead for the front. So next category would be develops. So develops is always developing your skills as a leader, doing research, taking notes from other leaders to see how they lead their men, and taking what they do, their skills, and applying it to your squad or team also. It's not only developing yourself, but also developing your men. Take them to the library, teach them classes, let them learn new skills that are outside their MOSs that might improve their lives in the long run. They also need to be willing to take feedback from their soldiers and peers. So that's a big thing. Like, don't be afraid of that feedback. Like, ask their soldiers, like, what can I do better to improve my leadership skills or improve the quality of life within the team or squad? And don't get mad at them if they say something negative, because if you get mad at them the first time, they're never going to want to come up to you and tell you how you can improve. Their improvements can further you in the long run, help you out in the long run. So next would be achieves, which pretty much means achieving the goal and task no matter what, and to the best of your ability. It's about adapting to any mission or situation that might change, because we all know that in the Army things change on a daily basis, so you should always be on your feet, being able to make this quick decision based on changes that come up. That's very important to a leader. And then showing your soldiers how you can achieve these missions and goals. So if you ever have to step down or go do something, your soldiers can step up and take your place and accomplish the mission at hand without you being there. So that's pretty much what competencies are. Now that we went over the foundation of leadership, we can go over the conclusion, and we can summarize everything that we learned for today. So, conclusion. So we went over the meaning of leadership and how it's broken down by attributes and competencies. Because of this, now we should have a better understanding what leadership is and the foundation of leadership and what goes into it to become an overall better leader to your men and to your peers, and how you can help your soldiers be better leaders in the long run. Now that we finished with this conclusion, we're gonna go to the questions in AER. So if you guys don't have any questions, any questions? Okay, no questions. So with the AER, we're gonna go over what was supposed to happen today, what did happen, what didn't happen, and then improvements and sustains. So what was supposed to happen today? Today we're supposed to go over a presentation on the foundation of leadership. What did happen? We went over the foundation of leadership, the definition of leadership. We went over what falls under those, which is like the competencies and attributes, and what that means to you guys and what it means to me in my own words. What didn't happen? Nothing crazy didn't happen. And then improvements and sustains. Do you guys have any improvements and sustains? No improvements and sustains. And then once again, the overall risk assessment for today was low, and no one got hurt today. No emergency came up, so good job on that. So that concludes my presentation. Everyone here is dismissed for the day, and if you have any further questions, just come and ask.